Hello, hello everyone. I see Kevin, Z, Raul. Nice. How's everyone doing this month? This two thumbs up. Nice. Hey everyone,
Hey, you guys.
welcome back. Nice. Already 15. Y'all are punctual.
Got two more that are stuck in the waiting room says they're joining, so
Nice.
they'll be here in a moment.
Yeah,
Nice to
well,
see everyone.
wait just a
Happy
minute.
December.
It's crazy. It's December. I felt like this, it was just last week that we did the November meetup and that Alvise was presenting. Hey, Stefan. No worries. Alrighty. Well, we'll keep letting people trickle in here, but as usual, we have a couple questions at the beginning. We'll just kind of get the conversation rolling, and you know, if you are at home and eating, feel free to do so. Grab a drink. Got my water. Anyone else got a drink? I see Kevin's got a drink.
Good
Nice.
evening, Francesco. Lars is joining us right now.
Hi everyone.
Awesome. Hello,
Hey,
Francesco.
Francesca.
There's Lars.
Howdy, howdy.
Welcome.
I will apologize for turning my camera off. I'll be flipping burgers and cooking in a second for the kids, but still love to listen and follow on.
No worries. We love to have everyone's faces, but it's also dinner
Yeah,
time, so we know.
it's getting late here in Southern Europe.
I think Lars is like,
Nice.
it's been dark here since 3 p.m.
Yeah, largely accurate.
Sadly accurate. It's been dark here since 4:30. Anywho, well, I think people are still trickling in. We're up to 18, so that's already pretty good. Um, but again, we'll start us off again with just a couple of questions, get everyone warmed up before the main presentation tonight. Um, so again, if you've been here before, I see a lot of returning faces, which is great. I'm Gus. I'm going to host the meetup today. Co-hosting this time is Chris again. And really excited to, have the last Nerves meetup of the year, of the first calendar year here. Um, yeah, I'll reiterate these things every time, but a couple housekeeping items. Ask you to keep muted when you're not speaking. If you are able to turn on your video, we'd love to get to know everyone's faces better. Of course, it's not required since it's dinner time and whatever. We are recording, so if you haven't already heard the notification, this will be recorded. It will be posted afterwards. Um, just so you're aware. Questions are welcome in the chat and resources will be shared afterwards. So again, we'll let some people trickle in, but we'll start off with a few icebreakers, um, get everyone warmed up here. And if you have any like nerves, elixir questions, this is also a great time to start asking other people. This is kind of uh, slightly structured, slightly unstructured time in the beginning. But this time, we're going to start off with a couple questions. Um, And based off of last meetup, so I think I see most people here were attending last time, but if you weren't, we were talking with Alvise about running computer vision models on nerves. And I wanted to ask first, and again, you can post or you can raise a hand in the React tab of Zoom, but if you were in that meetup last time and you ordered hardware or tested out computer vision models with Elixir and Nerves and the YOLO models that Alvise has done. Did anyone give that a shot? Anyone was inspired to give it a go? I see at least one. Nice. Couple. Awesome. Well, um,
Uh, I will jump in and say I was very inspired, yet I didn't find the time to do it yet. But I'm
I think
excited to
that's
give it a shot. Yeah,
accurate of a lot of people. It's a busy time of year.
yeah. So
So
Wrapping up
maybe
before
maybe we
Christmas.
should rephrase and say, are
Who
there
want
people
to?
that are inspired and haven't yet? Maybe that'll get a bigger pull there. There we go. Frank, I see him. A couple others.
yeah,
Nice.
actually, I'm going to be bringing Elisa to Sweden in February to run a small workshop at a university. So we'll grab some. I have an IP camera on the shelf there. There's going to be some EXN VR. There's going to be his NX work and
Awesome.
object detection and a little bit of everything. So definitely going to play around with it, but uh, did not order
Nice.
extra hardware because I already had it, and the,
You have a
I
library of
wasn't
hardware
here,
there.
but I've seen his work elsewhere. So
Nice. Well, that's good. Well, if anyone does get inspired, post it in Discord and whatnot. We'd love to see. Next up, same reactions. If you've done this, raise a hand. I know a lot of people might have seen in the Elixir Discord Nerves channel that James Harton has been working on the Uno Q from the Qualcomm Arduino mashup. Has anyone ordered that yet and got their hands on it and started playing with it? I see Lars, of course.
Of course, Lars has one. He probably got a pre-production.
I am not that fancy. I ordered it like a pleb.
Fun. I hope to see some more of those in the community and what people will come up with those. But it's been fun following along with James's progress updates. So um, yeah, if you haven't seen that yet, go look it up on Discord. He's got some cool progress updates. And
Is there
then
a pitch besides it's Arduino and not Raspberry Pi?
it has that integrated microcontroller, which is kind of neat. Um,
Something something edge something something AI. Actually, the thing I'm most excited about is the little LED matrix thing. That's very cute.
the LED matrix did look cool. I saw James at Codebeam and he showed me the his progress on it. It looked very neat.
Yeah. So if you power it on, it does this, which is like worth uh, the price of admission already, right?
Now we need to make a Nerves version of it.
Yep. That's
Next on the list.
uh,
Well, tying back into the first question, the last question here is, does anyone have a hobby or toy project or something that they've just been putting off for the year, and as you know, things kind of slow down for holiday season, do you have something you're planning on working on and getting out there, nerves related or otherwise? But if anyone does, I would love to hear what you have in mind.
Lars filled my to-do list.
Build it with peer testing, peer
Yep.
stuff.
victory.
Can you explain a little bit for everyone to get some context of what you're working on?
I've done basically no work besides making a to-do list for Frank to start working on stuff. The idea is that we want to get Peer the OTP library for testing OTP releases in various packages to run with nerve systems in some way, shape, or form. By now, we have it talking to nerves, but we haven't done any of the hard work around that yet.
Nice. Yep, that's gonna keep you busy.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff that would enable like if you're building a nerves device, if you can do a reasonable facsimile on the top of the QEMU system, that means you can run a bunch of your essentially integration tests against your device, and you can test things like updates and so on. So there's a lot of potential power in it.
I see a couple other hands. Joe, what are you working on? this holiday season?
All right. Last time I had audio problems. Am I still having audio problems?
You're good.
Fantastic. All right. So some of you have probably seen me from Chattanooga to uh, Sweden to Germany, but I've been working on a drum machine, a synthesizer engine for quite a while in the spare time. And now that I'm on quasi sabbatical, it's getting more priority. So I'm trying to be brave and decide, do I want to try to do a lightning talk or even do a talk maybe in Spain, but we'll see. So I think some of you might have looked over at my shoulders at in Sweden, but it's been kind of work that I'm quasi embarrassed about and quasi very excited about, depending on what day of the week it is.
Nice.
It
I hope
looked
to see.
awesome.
It does look awesome. We were talking about it in Berlin. It looks like a lot of fun. You'll have to post some updates and share with everyone what
Will
you get
do.
up to.
I think I shy away from talking about it and just demoing it, and I've had the comments that it looks like Pearl and modem line noise had a noisy baby. So
Uh, Fun. Well, I also see Z. You also have something you're working on this holiday?
Hopefully. Last year I created a multiplayer game. Do you guys know Double, the card game? So basically, it's everybody gets a cards, and on each card there are 7 images, and on every other card there's only one image that relates to the other card. So as you dish them out, you're supposed to be able to pick out the card that's in the center and get rid of your cards, right? So I turned that into a live view multiplayer game where the cards get dished out, and each person has a mobile phone, and they kind of select a card, and whoever wins wins. When I gave it to my kids, they immediately started cheating by just going like this the whole time. So I wanted to create like a Raspberry Pi referee that would shout at people if they detected the person's cheating. But yeah, let's see. The plan was to go to Italy and have a little bit of a holiday, but it looks like I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to be working. But yes, that's what I'd like to do. Have a Raspberry Pi referee for my multiplayer live view game.
If
Neat.
you do make it to Italy and it's Rome, give me a shout.
Okay, I normally go to Avellino, but in Rome as well, often.
Okay. Yeah.
well, I'll be on the other side in Puglia, but maybe I'll have a rental car, so maybe we can have a Nerves meetup somewhere next week.
Oh,
So,
that would be cool.
Very nice. Francesco, I see you have your hand up too. Are you working on something?
So camera's off. Yeah, I am not very much hands-on, but I am really looking for nerve tutorials right now. I kind of laughed, Frank. Yeah, I was asking Frank, hey, do you want to give a tutorial at ElixirConf? And it's just like, and his answer was, you never, yeah, you take every chance to ask. Yeah, you never stop asking. But just a heads up here, if anyone wants to give a nerves tutorial, ElixirConf at Codebeam in the Netherlands, and ElixirConf in the US in Chicago, happening in September, or in Malaga. Please reach out to me privately, because we're looking for we're looking for a kind of a strong program in this space, and it's you guys are the best. So yeah. So this is what I'm working on right now. So yeah, shameless plug-in, but yeah,
You're
very
organizing nerves.
much nerves related. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Well, again, if anyone has any projects or something they want to pitch, get in contact with Francesco. Um, so Peter, I see you have your hand up, and I know you have on nerves projects that you probably haven't had time for, but hopefully in the
Yeah,
holiday season.
I'm very sorry. I don't have time for nerds. I don't even have any time for like my blog or any side projects. But since already some people also said like that they're working on not only nerves related projects, I wanted to highlight something that might be interesting to people in the nerves community as well, which is that I recently got into very low level sockets, internet sockets, and I basically rebuild traceroute within Elixir.
I posted like very little bit about it on Blue Sky and LinkedIn, but basically, if you go to Hex, you will find the trace route package now, and if you want to run trace routes for whatever reason, you know, you can try that. It runs on TCP, UDP, and ICMP, IP version 4 and IP version 6. So yeah, it should cover every need. And I haven't really tried it on many like I just tried it on my Mac, so I haven't tried it on Linux or Windows or like a server. So if you run into any issues there, please give me a ping, and I would love to make that more compatible. Yeah, and like my little project in the next couple of months maybe will be to just kind of spin up a lot of VMs on different cloud providers, like different cloud solutions, and then have trace routing them each other all the time, and to kind of store that data and then to compare later. How long does it take if you make a request from this, data center AWS to that data center Google Cloud or something in the future? That's like a little data science project that I'm interested in.
It'd be kind of cool to see what happens during all these outages that have been happening
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah. Does the traffic change? Does the latency change? That kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And we need to get started here, but I see Lars, your hand's up, so we'll have you as the last one. What are you working on?
So I think 5 years ago or something, Connor Rigby pointed me at some very low power. They're called Mutinos, Mutino. Yeah, it's not a good product name because it can't be pronounced. But Low Power Labs produces them, and they can be run on really low power and stuff. Uh, you can buy them with an RF M69 antenna dealio on the board, and I bought a bunch back then, poked around with them, never got something properly set up, but I bought them because I wanted gardening sensors essentially. I have now set up my first temperature humidity setup with one of those, and I have a hub that runs nerves that is yeah, with this graceful little thing sticking off of it.
Nice.
So good time, and using Kevin's library to get into Home Assistant, and occasionally swearing when things just stop reporting. Uh, but it seems to be okay now. So,
Fun.
but yeah, it was nice to pick up some hardware from 5 years ago and realize, oh God, I can actually make it work now. Finally,
Yeah,
tick
it's a
that
good feeling
box.
when you already have all the parts for a project.
Yeah, except for all the cables I bothered you about. I'm like, yeah, I have. I don't have enough of anything. What should I order, Gus?
Cables, lots of cables. Anywho, thanks everyone for sharing. This is great. It's fun to see what people are working on or at least want to be working on. And we'll be back in January to get a status update. Just kidding. But do post if you have something fun that you do over the holidays. All right. So moving on, we're gonna do a quick few announcements and then we'll get to the meat of tonight's event. Um, so again, I'm so thankful for everyone here to join us tonight and launching this meetup this year. It's a great turnout. Again, really happy to have everyone here. As a reminder, we meet on the second Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. CET. And if you missed us the last couple times, the faces behind the event, those of us who are organizing it, are myself, Chris Dutton, Lars Wickman, and Dennis Palmer. We're sharing kind of this load of hosting, co-hosting, planning these meetups. If you have questions, comments, feedback, whatever, you can ping any of us in Discord or chat with us here. Our introductions are going to get shorter and shorter every time because you start to recognize us. But the short one-liner for us, I'm Gus, of course. I am located in Luxembourg. I have a small nerves-focused consulting company called Protolux, and I'm on the nerves core team as of this fall, quite recently. Chris?
Yeah, good evening. I'm Chris Dutton. I own a consultancy, Big Cove Technology, specializing in nerves products with a big marine emphasis, but other industries as well. So, and Dennis?
Yeah, I've been Elixir fan and Nerves fan for a long time. Haven't done any Nerves in any kind of production things, but it's definitely a hobby working on a little robot project. And mainly wanted to help organize the group because I wanted this group to happen and not have to be awake at 2 a.m. for the US meetup. So happy to have everyone joining.
Bars, that means you're up.
Yeah, Lars Wikman. I run a small consultancy. That's a bit of a trend among these people. It's just Dennis that doesn't run a small consultancy. I think he works for a big one, last I checked. But I do nerves mostly. And yeah, Beam Radio, a few other things. Goatmeyer Elixir, you might have seen it fly by. That's what I do. I mostly help find speakers for this, and I'm so glad that I don't plan it, I don't host it. It's very, very nice to have other people pulling stuff together. Chris and Gus do a ton of work. So awesome stuff.
Great. Thank you. Moving on, a quick reminder, we have a Discord server for the meetup. If you haven't seen the link before, we're going to drop it in the chat right now. Feel free to join. We also have a Blue Sky account. You can get your monthly meetup reminder that you can sign up for. Go give us a follow there. And of course, the meetup website where you signed up, nervesmeetup.eu. All the upcoming events are there. And if you have any questions after the meetup, Discord is a great place for that. And finally, last housekeeping item this time is that, well, two things. Similar to last time, we're going to have a little bit of a social hour, not quite an hour, but after the event, after the main presentation. So stick around for that. But also, since this is the last meetup for the year, and we're just thrilled with how this community's come together here, we want to do something nice for everyone. And so stick around until after the presentation. We're planning on giving away a couple of the Nerves shirts, but you need to be in the meeting to claim it. So stick around and we'll have some more info about that after the presentation. Anyways, you've all are probably sick of me talking, so let's get to our main event. I am pleased to introduce Frank, who of course needs no introduction, but in case you don't know, he is the co-creator of Nerves and a savior to many through the amazing support that he provides in the community. Frank will be talking about breaking the boot cycle and his developments on TryBoot on Raspberry Pi. So, Frank, the stage is yours. And as a reminder for everyone else, questions are welcome in the presentation. Please use chat and we will get to them. And afterwards, Chris will host the Q&A. So with that, Frank, all you.
Thanks. Thanks, Gus. Thanks for inviting me in. Good evening, everyone. Just a second, let me get my slides up. Oops. All right, so I just want to set expectations. This is a very specific Raspberry Pi talk with Nerves. If you're on another platform, you might have some amusement in this. Maybe some of the words will be helpful. There are some similarities between platforms, but it's definitely a Raspberry Pi specific thing. And then secondly, I'm leaving out a lot of parts. You'll notice this. I'm hoping that you'll see some words and maybe dive in deeper. But for our 30-minute talk, I had to pick and choose. So that's kind of the prelude to this talk. Then the one thing that I wanted to get over with, I think maybe a bunch of you may have seen that I started going, and I say quote, full time on Nerves. So this is my current plan. I'm going to be spending a lot more time with Nerves related things for the next, 3 to 6 months. That's my plan there. And here, let me just finish these. There are a couple things about Nerves that have been bugging me for a long time. I can't tell you how many years. And I just want to give a go at trying to fix some warts. And with some stuff that I think I might fail on. But at any rate, I really want to do this. That's what I'm doing. Right now, I'm trying to get rid of the backlog. Working a full-time job and maintaining an open source project, even when that full-time job is very nerves related, is a decent amount of work, and I got a backlog. So I'll try to get that sorted through a bit. And the main things on that backlog are, one, this talk, which is how to do fallback on the Raspberry Pi. So fallback being, I load a new image, it doesn't work. Let's revert automatically to the old image. And then Lars, thank you. Benjamin, thank you. This peer thing is awesome. And I'm not going to talk about it, but other than to say that they so successfully nerd dived me, because it's 2025 and this should have been trivial to do. And for reasons, it required a little bit of work, and it was kind of fun. And I'm finishing it off so they can go to town with it, because it unlocks things. It just needs some time to unlock those things. So, all right, now for the important part. First, the problem on the Raspberry Pi. You're working on software. And it's just here's what you do. You something crashes. So just for a motivating example, I'm just putting a system halt in there. But I think you all know that the reality is that when you put your bugs in your programs, you're more clever and you don't tell yourself about it. But let's just imagine this is what you do. And then this is what you see. And I'm going to be talking about this so that those of you who haven't experienced can feel the pain. And this is I powered on the Pi right now. So it's what you see. This is over the serial port. I should be getting messages. And this is, imagine chalk. Someone scraped their nails on the chalkboard. This is the worst for me. And I think I need to talk a little bit more because I didn't trim this video short enough. I hope it prints out soon. Please print out soon. Okay. I need to click go. Okay, so for you all, this is just became 10 times more grating to me, because this is what you see. You see, okay, I see this real quick because I know exactly what I'm looking for, my little print there. But it does this. Your Raspberry Pi boots up, hits the problem, the bug that you inserted, and then reboots. And then this is all of its glory with the printout that is also on the backlog on Nerves, is to update Bring Logger, which I think probably has become more obvious for many of you now. And you just have to follow this cycle. And if this were in person, I would love to see people raise their hands who have run into this. Yeah, I know I can only see a few of you on the screen. I know it hits a bunch of you, and it's a very miserable part of working with Nerves. Totally acknowledged. And it's something that's just, oh shoot. Now, I wish I wouldn't have asked for hands up, because now the screen started. So sorry, everyone. Huge apologies for this. We're getting this fixed. So what do we say before? If this were an easy problem to fix, we would have fixed it, right? I'm not being mean, the Nerves core team's not being mean. But we generally just have said, okay, here's how we work. Elixir works really well on your laptop. Structure your programs to do a lot of development there. The development cycle is very quick. You have a language that really makes it nice and easy to work with. To go the easy route. NIFs, I think, for the most part, I don't completely know how the messaging gets out, but for a whole lot of Nerves, it was just don't use NIFs, or minimize NIFs as much as possible, because when you go through debugging, the NIFs, when NIFs crash on initialization, that's the worst. But 2025, NIFs are here. There's no going back. We have to be able to support those first class. There's too many neat things that uses NIFs for really good reasons. Hot code updates, copy paste work at the IX prompt. totally a way to go. And then the other thing that I think less people know about or do is just edit their mix release and say, my main app or whatever I want. Just don't start it. Just load the code in memory. Just don't start it. And then when I get the IEX prompt, let me start it up. And then when it crashes because something's messed up, I can type at the IEX prompt to do some debug to see like what's going on, and maybe try it again. So that's then. And one more background thing, because it's just like, I feel like you ask yourself, why does nerves work this way? Why do you get in these reboot loops? And then I also need to like tell like what, some of the method behind like the way nerves is set up. And I start this real early on. I think I saw people who all use nerves, and this is kind of like like everyone knows this, so I'll go a slight bit quicker. But it all comes, so nerves has to decide how to use the micro SD card, right? Like, we're booting a custom Linux, a purpose-built Linux system. We're going to lay out the micro SD card. Every OS has to do this. And when you get Raspberry Pi OS, starts out, bootloader, big file system with all your stuff. And that's what most of the time when anyone getting Raspberry Pi starts there. And then the problem is that if you pull the plug on the Raspberry Pi, if you're writing any data, that the blast radius of your of whatever outgoing write that you made to the SD card can sometimes affect the code, and then it might not boot all the way the next time. Like, it's not a good experience. And then, or in the nerves context, we want to put devices remotely, so we can't really just pop out the micro SD card. And so we want to minimize this blast radius. So the obvious thing that people do is just make two partitions, one with your code, one with your data. We do that too. Works great, but sometimes you want to modify your code, and when you modify your code, then you messed up that your code partition, no longer boots. Then you do the nerves. Nerves does this too. A lot of people do this and just have A/B, right? So I put my code in A, I run that out. Firmware update comes, write that to B. Someone pulls the plug, something bad happens. Doesn't matter. I boot out of A again, right? No problem. B's corrupt, but who cares? So, but works, boot to B. I'll go back and forth. And that's kind of the start. And I think, I wish I could scan the audience, but like, I think that's we're all kind of comfortable with this A/B concept of going back and forth. And Raspberry Pi does this, lets us do these kind of reliable updates. It's good enough for most things. But the bad part about doing this is that if you load code that doesn't work, then you kind of get stuck. And that's that boot loop that I showed before, because we uploaded code that worked fine. It booted, didn't work, but the board doesn't know what else to do, right? It needs someone to physically go up to it. Let's see. The next thing I want to do is just like, what do we reboot? Like, and I was just throwing this out there. We have this hammer that we use in Erlang world. I put an asterisk there because, we all of us who've worked with, if you've worked with Erlang and Elixir for a long enough time, that the restart it, when something crashes, restart it, works for a whole lot. Awesome default. But there are a couple cases, where you want to be a little bit more sophisticated. And the original nerves approach was something goes bad at a high level, reboot the board. That fixes a lot of weird hardware issues, just like, a gen server crashing and getting restarted by a supervisor fixes that. So we did that. Here's the recap. Fundamental problem, you loaded bad code, but it's a nerves problem because a lot of this is in development, that we're doing this, and we're humans, or maybe we're GPTs now, and we got to try. And it goes beyond development. I'm not saying this is mostly a development thing, but or solely a development thing. And production use cases. What if your QA didn't test something fully, or you find something new in the field because of some unique thing at a certain point? It's really, really, really nice to boot an image, and then as things go really sour, just to go back to that other one that you knew worked because it was working good enough to accept your firmware update. So why didn't we do this in the beginning? And well, it comes down to we couldn't easily do it. And the Nerves Raspberry Pi pieces got baked in, before 2020. And the Raspberry Pi bootloader, I did a little comparison with like U-boot here. Fundamentally, it was, can you, in the bootloader, say, run the other slot, right? Like I tried, I ran the A slot, it didn't work. Now run the B slot. And prior to 2020, you can kind of like hack this together with Raspberry Pi. There are a couple options, but if you really wanted to stay true to what upstream Raspberry Pi was doing, and that's kind of what we wanted to do to minimize maintenance, it just wasn't really there for us. Here I have 2 slides to basically give, for those of you who aren't familiar with failback, so I can tell you like what the U-boot, like if you have U-boot, what you do. U-boot, this is the logic. It's literally like it keeps a counter for how many times it booted a particular slot and whether it's new firmware. And the if statement is pretty easy. I mean, you can see this, that if you tried it the first time, didn't work, go back, right? Like, and you can build on that, but at a base level, just having a scripting language is key. The Raspberry Pi, this was, I wonder if there's anyone on this call who's used the revert hack. So again, can't see if anyone knows revert. So revert is you boot the Raspberry Pi. So if this is first time firmware boot, what you do is you're in your firmware. You just say, but it's my first time, I'm gonna hit reboot. But I'm not gonna reboot. So I'm gonna hit revert, but I'm not gonna reboot. And then if anything bad happens later on, it's gonna run the other slot, right? And then once you feel all good about your particular firmware, you revert the revert. It helps a lot, but like it has gaps, right? You muck around with the Linux kernel, that's of course a gap. You do something super early in the OTP boot process. I guess the one that comes up is you try setting something up with a logger. That's a good one to cause like reboot loops, is messing with the logger and then putting in some parameters wrong, causing a crash real early on. And stuff like that. It just feels like you could do better, but it is a thing. If you already have a product up, can't upgrade, revert. So now, okay, background. Now let me tell you about the tri-boot way. Words are hard, right? It used to be called tri-boot, like literally everywhere, but auto boot is now a word that's used a whole lot. So what you do, this is Raspberry Pi specific again. Raspberry Pi, you have a config file that says, here's my normal configuration and here's my tri-boot configuration. So you basically have 2 configurations. And it does the obvious thing, which is it normally runs the normal one. But if you say, if if at the shell prompt you say type reboot 0 triboot, when it reboots, it loads the triboot configuration. I will get into a little bit more detail. Sorry. The final part about this is just that after you feel good about like your new firmware, you just update the normal configuration to be what used to be the triboot configuration. So if normal boots A, triboot boots B, you reboot to boot to triboot, and that's B, right? And you're happy with it. Update the auto boot file to say normally boot to B. That has an effect on the micro SD card. And this is what it looks like. So there's a new partition called auto boot, and that has the auto boot.txt file. That's in addition to the boot partitions that you're used to with Raspberry Pi. There are now multiple boot partitions, and when you plug this into your computer, you'll start seeing all sorts of partitions now. But they're paired up, right? So the boot partition A, which contains your Linux kernel, your device tree files, command line parameters, all that stuff for the A slot is in that one position. And then it will say to use the root file system in the A slot, and then kind of the analogous version for B. But the key thing in here is that if you just put blinders on and look at boot A, rootfs A, and then the data file system, it will look like your Raspberry Pi of today. The auto boot partition really is just a pointer. The config file is very small. So I went through this. If I rebooted 0 triboot, that loads B, and then I was happy with it, so I modified the autoboot.txt. Not giving the exact text, but you can kind of imagine. So, yeah, how many of you said this? I can't see the chat, so if you all are replying there, I'm totally missing it. But I can see a few people's faces. And so this is wild. This was like a little detour into like improving the plumbing to nerves, because the Linux kernel totally supports this. The Raspberry Pi modified the kernel to support the word triboot, right? So the Linux kernel has the plumbing to pass parameters on reboot. Raspberry Pi had the code that recognizes the word triboot, the 0. So don't worry about 0. That's a thing. But triboot, the word triboot is the one. It translates the word triboot to store something in its memory that the bootloader can know for when it boots the next time. So Linux kernel set, almost everything else totally not set at all. And I was just like, how in the world does this work? And of course, when you have questions, you go to systemd, because systemd is guaranteed to have implemented everything. And it turns out they just pass the parameters around the file, and when they need to pass it to the kernel, they read the file and load the parameters out of the file. It is like literally that simple. There's no magic here. It's just passing files. So we do the same thing, but we don't put systemd in our path. And now when we upgrade to that, no mystery there, just read and writing files. Hopefully that makes sense. So now this is like it in action. So I have circuits quick start here running because I like modifying that. Let me get this started. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to firmware update this to some bad code. So this is in another terminal window. And let me edit and then add the system halt. So good. Bad firmware right here. So I build it and upload it. So hopefully users for familiar with mix firmware and mix upload. And so the mix upload, now we're cranking away at it. And this, I recorded this demo because this is super stressful to give, because like I wanted to show what you all would see when you do this rather than hook up all my extra stuff, like to see what's going on. And so, right, you can't, it has that bad thing. You can't SSH into it, right? Like I'm not attaching the console port so you can see the little print messages, right? You're just like in territory where there's no networking and nothing. It looks like a brick. So here's me getting a little bit stressed again. So hopefully it goes. It should go. So we're in. So here. No, wait. I'm gonna pause right there. So what happened just then was it uploaded the bad firmware, rebooted, bad firmware broke, like it booted and but crashed, right? And rebooted again because it crashed. And now it's booting the firmware that was running originally. And if you have been through auto failback, you will have totally have noticed this, because your eyes are like stuck on looking at firmware UUIDs. If you haven't been through this experience, you don't stare at these firmware UUIDs. But this is the thing that like I'm trained to just totally look at, and I think a few of you might be trained to do it too after a while of watching all the file back until we get these print messages to be a little bit more interface. But you just have to trust me now if you didn't see it, that the UUID totally is the same. This is original firmware. It failed back. And now I'm going to show you how you know what happened that previous boot. And there's this library called RAM-oops logger, and RAM-oops logger can get the logs from the previous boot that were written without writing to the micro SD card. They're stored in memory. You get a small amount, but you can see this. So here, oops. Let me pause again. So inside the logs, if you're looking at this top part, you can see like some print messages from Erlang and Erlang's heart process. But the Erlang is crashing, and then I unceremoniously put the crashing here so it's easier to see. You can redirect where Erlang crashes go, so might as well log it. And if those of you who've read Erlang crashes, like you normally don't, probably when you're first getting on, but then you find out the trick is that the problem probably is in the first few lines. So if you just log the head of the crash, there's like a good chance that you'll get the stack trace or the important print message in the slogan. So that's, I mean, if it's not in the slogan, well, then you're going back, but back to it. And so in this slogan right here, I just have the ha that I logged. But if you did this for real, you might get a little stack trace, or it says the application couldn't start, or something that would probably be a decent hint. So, okay, press play, showing that. All right, so then the last part of this that I wanted to show was let me fix the problem, like you do when you have bugs. And while this is building and uploading, I want to talk about a little bit what you're going to see next. So what I'm going to do when it loads the new firmware, I'm going to show that you get the new firmware, but I'm also going to go back to show you the previous log, because I think because there's one line of it that's cool. So, all right. So if anyone had a stopwatch, they'd notice that the prompt comes faster this time because it didn't have to fall back. All right. So here, the firmware was loaded. We logged in. I logged in as fast as I could so I could catch this for you all. So it's not validated, right? The validation criteria is all the OTP applications got started. So the release init script completes. Basically, we wait just a little bit longer and print the nerves message of the day. you'll see that's valid. And that's just because this other piece of code came in there and said, hey, everything looks good. Let me call it valid. And it did. Here's this is really just the last part, just to show you the, again, RAM oops logger. So previous boot. Keep in mind previous boot. This is when we loaded the new firmware update. Erlang, exited fine. This was totally intentional reboot. The only neat part was the reboot, the super low level reboot was called, and there's a parameter, try boot was in the parameter. So it was trying the new software. All right, so I went quick over that, but I think it really solidifies in your head when you see this, like actually do the thing. At least it did for me. And the big thing is okay, how can I use this now? And there's a whole lot that's been merged. There are a couple pieces that haven't been merged. The functionality, a lot of this functionality has been in Nerves merged for like a year. But there was some work that needed to be finished up, and it's mostly on the Nerve systems level to make this an experience where you can upgrade. If you're doing this, if you have no patience and want just like try it out on a Raspberry Pi 3 or 4. Those are the ones that I use the most. But you'll definitely want to watch the repositories, because a lot of the PRs and work is like ready to start merging in when we start getting some reviews from the rest of the core team. Yeah, here's a caveat. This is the big one. No downgrading. Once you update the triboot, you can't go back. Just migrating upwards was kind of hard. Details. So I hope for a lot of you there, the good news is that a lot of the Raspberry Pi use cases are for more hobbyist ones, so you can actually physically go over to your thing. If this were an industrial device, I think that this would be a pretty serious thing that you'd want to be comfortable with, because this is definitely a Flag Day kind of like update. The second part, the fwf.conf. So for those of you who haven't used Nerves, this is like the firmware update configuration file. Got complicated. We're switching to using Eeks to reduce a lot of the repetition, which I think will be a big help in many ways in one, not just for this. That's kind of a thing that we're playing around with. It'll probably evolve to be hopefully keep everything explicit, because I think that's helpful in this area, but also avoid the repetition, which causes so many painful typo mistakes, because it is a big deal. All right. That's what I want to talk about for firmware updates. But since I have the floor, I just want to mention a couple random other things. First of all, Nerves Burner, the other project got finished off. This was just like a hey, here's a problem that Nerves has with new users. How do we get someone from 0 to go on a Raspberry Pi or anything as fast as possible? Nerves Burner, you download it. It's like a little text UI thing, kind of like the Raspberry Pi Imager if you've used that, which says, what kind of Nerves thing do you want to look at, like Nerves Livebook, or do you want to make a web kiosk? You pick it, you pick your platform, it burns in micro SD card or gives you an image file. It does all the downloads for you, does all the burning. Don't have to install the Nerves tooling if you don't want to. I think even for experienced users, I use this quite a lot when I'm really confused, or like someone posts a problem and I just don't know like what the heck's going on. I try to reproduce it in like a known good image if it's like something I can copy paste code to. Interactive command. I don't know. This is one that you need to go to. So long-term Nerves users, how many of you like hate that you have to go through SSH key pass or like mix upload? Couldn't ask you the password if you had your SSH private key password protected. I mean, kudos to the Erlang programmers who like made launching different OS processors as isolated as possible from core Erlang, like super, super, super cool. But it amazed their like amazing effort kind of made this like kind of these little things harder because you couldn't get interactive terminals. Interactive command fixes this. Someone posted to one of my questions, like you could do this like years ago and is totally a boring thing that like everyone knew how to do. And at first I was just like, all right, fine, I'll just copy paste the secret to something. And then the code got complicated. So I pulled out the library. My hope is that being able to run interactive commands like this is going to pull into other nerves tooling. So like running Quemu, like just mix run Quemu for when you're working with a Quemu target, like it just goes and you can interact with it. Or like when you're building nerve systems and you have to edit those, that's another one where we can launch Docker and you can run inside Docker while you're also inside the Elixir tooling. If the Erlang team decides that they totally hate this and like switch out everything underneath, well, it'll go away, but it fixes a root problem that's bugged me for years. So it's happy about it. And I think this is the last one I put on here, the web kiosk. So use case, you have a device, touchscreen, or HDMI monitor, and you want to make a user interface part, and you like Phoenix Live View. So it embeds a web browser. You write your code in Phoenix Live View, and you get a little UI. We made a demo, and this was using, believe it or not, Frank helped build this. I'm like notoriously not a Phoenix user at all, but Tidewave helped me. So yell at me for some AI code, but I think Tidewave actually did a legit job. It wasn't that much code that added, so it made me pretty happy that this wasn't just like a large amount of lines of code that was kind of nonsensical. But the result of this, I think, is that we have a pretty compelling reason to use Nerves for web-based kiosks. And I will, for the longest time, wanted kiosks to be written either using something more appropriate like Scenic, still love Scenic, or like Flutter works really well and is really responsive. But I think I understand why many of you have told me about how much do you love Phoenix Live View. Like it was silly easy. And I mean, with Tidewave help for Frank, but like it was, I think I get it. I think why you get it. And I just wanted to point out that that's there. And now that I get it a little bit more, I think I'll try to maintain that project a little bit better than I had in the past. No. Last thing. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. But heads off this SmartRent. So I quit from SmartRent. But they donated a lot of the SmartRent projects to the Nerves project so that the core team could make sure that they lived in perpetuity. I think that SmartRent still would maintain them totally, but like this puts it under my control for sure. And I just listed a few of those. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that little update. I can't wait for more people to use the TryBoot stuff. Seriously. Anyway, thank you for your attention and thanks for having me on. So with that, I will stop so I can actually see what you all said. I can't hear anyone, but I think you all are there. Okay,
we're
good.
all here. We can all hear you, I think. I was monitoring the chat as we went. Didn't see too many things come up throughout the talk, but this is a great time for anyone that has questions. Feel free to raise a Zoom hand and we will call on people to ask Frank some questions.
Well, while people raise their hands, RAM oops. So a little history here. keyword to look for is pstore in the Linux kernel. But it used to be called the RAM oops because like when the Linux kernel panics, it's an oops, right? And it's stored in RAM, so RAM oops. The official name though is pstore. It's pstore driver. It can do way more than log kernel oopses, and like we use it to store these breadcrumbs. So, yes, Sebastian, I think I see.
Yes, is there going to be a migration path for existing installation between what we've got today with a two boot partition to the new tri-boot?
Right. So right now, it is possible to upgrade. So when you firmware update a device with the current partition system to this new one, it will move the partitions around. Your data partition stays intact, same location, everything. So you won't lose any data. What unfortunately gets overwritten is it's kind of an in-place code update. I tried to avoid some of the code partitions, but it's one of those updates that overwrites some important stuff from the current state. So you really don't want to pull the plug when it's updating. That's the cleverest I could figure out. If I could figure out a total like perfect way of doing it, then I would have. But that's my current best, and I think that's as good as it's going to get. This changing things is hard when it comes to partitions. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll ask a question here while maybe another hand gets raised. And that is, do you have a expected timeline for when this might be available for more to test? I know obviously the core team's going to beat on it a little bit, but just so everyone might have an idea when to kind of keep an eye out for this.
I mean, I'm trying to get this in like as fast as possible, but probably it's going to be two paths, right? This is like a 2.0 Raspberry Pi, right? I want to make sure that the core teams we're going to have to maintain the current track because not everyone will be up to update, or maybe we also kind of want to get a little bit more field experience with this current setup. So my expectation is that I don't think it's going to happen. I really hope to get done by Christmas or so. I mean, holidays is a really hard time to make promises, but like getting the branch started so that we have a good maintenance branch for the current set and a good maybe just have an RC releases for like I'll just call it quote 2.0 to so that people can just start using it and hopefully the messaging can give you all who are using it a bit of confidence that this has already received a lot of thought. But you never know with when you start getting into a lot of different scenarios, what surprise people find.
Okay. It looks like Kevin's got one question here in the chat was, what about maybe using human-friendly identifiers instead of UUIDs on those?
Yeah. I think that's an awesome idea. I totally didn't think about that at all. I don't know what the best way is to do that. Kevin, if you have opinions, all yours. I totally hadn't thought of that. I think it's a great idea.
Oh, like the projects that go, oh, you stood up a new server and it's like Wolverine Ocelot laser.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. This is exactly, John. Yeah. Whatever it is. Oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. I wish you could go back in time and tell me that like years ago.
There we go. Always something new to learn and do. So that's wonderful. Okay, I don't see any other. Let's do last call for questions here. before we move on? Okay. Well, thank you, Frank. It is awesome for you to join us on this all the way from the States. We much appreciate your time, and personally, I'm looking forward to Triboot because I do have a couple production CM4 projects out there that this will be great for. So I appreciate your insight, the help you give to the community, and spending your time with us here for this chat. So thank you. Now, moving on, next month, we have a great talk coming up from on January 14th. Kevin Schweikert is going to be talking about bringing Nerves and Home Assistant together. Definitely should be an amazing talk, and one of those that's going to be cool to all of us to try out around our own homes to maybe do some automation. So I've been following this a little bit. I'm very excited for that talk, Kevin. So thank you for offering your time next month for that. That'll be the kickoff for our starting in 2026. And Gus is going to drop the registration link in the chat. So feel free to take a look at that, get registered for that, and do keep a look at the website, as we are going to announce February's meetup sometime between now and that next January 1. So now let's get to the exciting part of the evening. For those who stuck around, we are going to do the Nerves shirt giveaway. This is something we are excited to do as a little special thank you for closing out 2025 and creating such a great community here on this new meetup. We have compiled a list from the Luma registration list for this meetup. I have wrote some amazing Elixir code to take that list, strip out all the stuff that Luma interjects in the middle of it, so it's never as easy as it seems. And then I have manually compared it to all the people that actually are attending tonight, because I didn't want AI to connect to this and do it automatically, and came up with some prize winners here. And I'm just going to make sure. Okay, the first winner is actually Stefan. Are you still on? You were last time I checked. It looks like he's still here, but not unmuting. Is he still here? Or
Saying
did
he hasn't
go
got a
have
mic.
to-
If you said
Yeah,
Steffen
yeah, he
Deutsch,
said-
I
Still
see
here.
you. Okay, Stefan. We will reach out to you on Discord if you'd like, and we will set you up with the details for that. And sorry you don't have a mic tonight, and sorry I missed it in the chat. Thank you everyone for helping me out there. And the next one is Evan Horn. Are you still on call tonight?
I am.
Okay.
I am in the US though, so I don't know if that's a problem for you.
Okay. So it's not a problem if you would like. I think, Lars, you can correct me if this is right. If you cover the shipping, that is fine. But it would not cover shipping to the US. But Lars needs to say yay or nay on this
In
one.
that case,
I don't.
give it to someone else, if that's all right.
Okay.
Lars said in chat a little bit ago he was stepping out, so we'd have
Okay.
to.
That's okay. We will move on. The next one is Cedric. Are you still on?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, Chris.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, then we can reach out to you as well. If Discord's okay, we'll reach out to you and get you the details on that.
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay. Awesome. Well, congratulations to those two winners, and to Lars. Thank you very much for sponsoring this giveaway. And
Hold
for
on,
those who,
Chris.
oh,
We
am I
have
mistaken?
Stefan has a shirt already, a Nerve shirt. He posted it in chat.
See, you can't keep messing with me, guys. I can't keep up with the chat and the talking. Okay, let's try one more time. Peter, I think I see you here. You're still here.
Which Peter? The
Peter
multiple.
Ulrich.
Yeah, that's me.
Yes, it is.
Am
You
I getting
are
a shirt?
next.
Oh my
You
God.
do.
Oh, then I actually have to do some Nerf stuff now.
That's okay.
All right.
We would love you to do some nerd stuff. How about
Thank you.
that?
I will
Okay.
wear it proudly.
Awesome. Okay, as I was saying, thank you to Lars. I know he stepped away for a minute for sponsoring this. And for those who would like a Nerve shirt, I believe Ash as well as Elixir, he has started a new little website that Gus is going to paste in the chat, osswag.org for open source swag. And that is a cool little initiative where they are hand making all these shirts and making them available to everyone. So thank you again to Lars for yet another community / open source initiative for helping out the community. That's really awesome. So, and continuing on, want to give everyone a huge thank you for showing up tonight. And we will be back in 2026, continuing the same format as long as everyone still is enjoying it. And it will also be every month, the second Wednesday of the month. And we will finish out the night with breakout rooms for the social, let's call it 20, maybe 30 minutes or so this evening, because we did run a little bit long on Q&A and the shirts. For those who haven't done breakout rooms in Zoom before, will set those up here in a moment, and you are going to enter a room. It's going to pop up and specify the options for you, and then we will you can pick whichever one you would like. You can see the details here. So we're going to have 3 rooms tonight. There's going to be general, anything you guys would like to chat about. These again are just suggested topics. Feel free to chat about whichever you'd like, whichever direction that the conversation goes, but just as general as starting ideas, just a general chat. Share your current projects. It's always nice to hear what people are working on. We did hear about some cool ones that people are maybe thinking about doing over the holidays. That's great. And then we'll do questions and help. So anyone that may be stuck on something, seeking some help, that is something as well. So I will go ahead and hit the button here to open all the rooms. Everyone should be able, it should have popped up and said, and given you the option. And again, thank you for joining, and we will close out the meeting in about 20 to 30 minutes, and you will get a notification when we do that if you are still in the rooms, if you haven't logged off. Thank you very much.